The 90s, the decade that brought us the monumental Britpop clash of Oasis versus After 30 long years of hurt, football was finally coming home. Spoiler, it didn't. Video games were free of predatory microtransactions and pay-to-win mechanics, and believe it or not, actually released in a completed state. With that in mind, I'm Ash from Player One Press Start, and this is my list of the top 10 Super Nintendo games. So in at 10 I've gone for Super Aleste. As a 13-year-old playing this on Christmas Day, it had pretty much everything I loved from the old arcade shooters. Great graphics, brilliant weapons, tough as nails if you ramp the difficulty up. You've never tried it, I suggest you to get your Super NES and give it a go. I'm sure people will disagree, but I've gone with Soul Blazer at 9. It was the first RPG that I played on the Super Nintendo. Though better RPGs were released, I had a ton of fun playing this. So yeah, for me it goes in at number 9. Starfox is in at 8. I've recently picked this up again and I was expecting it to have aged badly. Yep, flying triangles and rectangles with no textures probably wouldn't cut it these days, but when Starfox was released in '93, it was pretty revolutionary. Playing a fully 3D game on Super Nintendo hardware for the first time was a full-on mind-blown experience, all thanks to the Super FX chip. I'm a massive fan of arcade shooters, so to play Starfox at the time, I was completely hooked. It's a great shooter, it still holds up well. The only gripe is the annoying slippy toe. Contra 3 is a good single-player side-scrolling shooter. Good level design, tick. Great weapons, tick. Great graphics, tick. Intense soundtrack, you better believe it. So how do you make an already good game great? You ramp up the tension and throw in a 2-player mode. Now you've got yourself one of the best run-and-gun shooters with some amazing set pieces and excellent boss fights. It's just a shame the game's quite short and the top-down levels were a bit shit. At 6, it's Final Fantasy III. I wasn't sure I'd be able to get into Final Fantasy being an action RPG fan. Turn-based RPGs just weren't my thing. I couldn't have been wronger though, this game is just epic from start to finish. Epic story, loads of characters to master, stunning graphics, excellent gameplay mechanics, and an absolute banger of a soundtrack. It's a deserved 6th place on my list. The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past is my 5th place. One of the release games for the Super NES. It's still as beautiful today as it was in '92. There's loads to find and uncover in this game, and you're always rewarded for exploration with helpful in-game items and heart containers to boost your health. There's loads to explore too, with 2 huge maps covering the lands of Hyrule and the Dark World. It's got satisfying combat, tons of dungeons and castles to get lost in, tricky boss fights, one of the best RPGs of all time in my opinion, still great to play today. Super Mario World is in at 4, and for me this is easily the best platformer on Super Nintendo. It's actually, in my opinion, the best Super Mario platformer I've ever played, including all the 3D ones, Sunshine, Galaxy Universe, whatever they're called. Growing up playing games like James Pond and Zool on the Commodore Amiga, I wasn't exactly spoilt for choice. Then this came along and absolutely blew everything away. 96 gloriously imaginative design levels, beautiful graphics, fast, responsive controls. It's not just the best Mario platformer, it's the greatest platformer of all time. And the only reason it isn't higher on this list is down to the quality of my top 3. In at 3 is, in my opinion, the best RPG release for the Super Nintendo, and it's Secret of Mana. This game just felt so epic in scope when it was released. The story completely pulls you in. The huge world was beautifully realised with some of the best graphics on the Super Nintendo. It's immersive and really feels alive. There's a range of different combat and magical styles to mess about with the playable characters on offer. Playing this game on your own was a brilliant journey, but this game really shines when you bring in 2 of your friends to co-op. Then it becomes an epic adventure. Honestly, I've gone through this game dozens of times with different friends, and each playthrough was as memorable as the last. Ignore the PlayStation remake, it's shit. If you haven't played this before, what have you been doing with yourself? Pick it up and play it now. So in my youth, any spare change I could get my hands on was used to play this game at the local chippy. Streetfighter 2 is at number 2. I think everyone knows the score with this one now. Pick your world warrior, kick ass across the world until you reach Mr. Bossman M. Bison. I was used to playing shitty arcade conversions on the Commodore 64 and Commodore Amiga, but Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo pretty much nailed it, and was a near perfect arcade conversion. The look and feel of the arcade was there, the controls were mapped perfectly to the SNES controller. Pulling off a triple combo Dragon Punch to finish off your friend in a versus match never felt more satisfying. Street Fighter 2 Turbo was released a couple of years later and is technically the better game. I'm sticking with Street Fighter 2 as my number 2 though, purely for the impact it had on me as a kid, being able to play the best arcade game on home console for the first time. And at number 1, it's Super Mario Kart. Well, what can I say about this game? 33 years after its release, and I still pick this up regularly to play match race with my mate. I've played every Mario Kart iteration, and I always find the tracks to be too long and the races last forever. Tracks on this are short and sweet, plenty of shortcuts. The Mode 7 graphics keep everything zipping along nicely. Honestly, between the match races and battle modes, I don't think I've ever played another game with so much replayability. 33 years later, I'm still getting as much enjoyment out of this game as I was as a spotty kid. Super Mario Kart is the best Mario Kart ever made, it's the best SNES game ever made, and I'm going to say it's the best game ever made. And there you have it, that's my top 10 list. Did I miss any of your favourites off it? What are your top 10 SNES games? Drop me a comment and let me know. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and until the next one, see ya!